continuous streams of data. It is really two computers.
All right, welcome to Across the Chain. My name is Jared, and today we're gonna kind of go all around. But I just wanted to make this announcement that I called it. Bitcoin is dying, it's dead, it's gone forever. We're never gonna go back to it again. This is obviously not something I would say, but the general sentiment that I feel like a lot of people, you're gonna start hearing a lot. All the naysayers and the people that come out when the market is down, it could coincidentally be the same people that come out when the market's up, and they're the biggest proponents of it. So just be careful about the content you watch and do your own research and form your own opinion. I like to surround myself with people who aren't just like-minded, but that they approach education, learning about the content the same way that I do, and kind of just fill my head with as much information as possible with how to form an opinion on what's happening in the market. So we have been seeing, well, let's talk about the markets a little bit here. We have been seeing, wait, hold on, I want to go back to this Bitcoin is dead. Yeah, so I was reading this that a lot of people saying that Bitcoin is dead and they called it, and I saw this. I came across this link that I like a lot, which is bitcoinisdead.org. So this is essentially what this guy has done. My new best friend. I don't know him. His name's Jerry Fang, but he has pretty much indexed like every negative article, or maybe not every negative article, but some of the more notable negative articles from the beginning on people who are saying that Bitcoin would never get to where it's gotten so far, and that it's a Ponzi scheme or a fraud, or it'll never be a currency. And you go through all these. It's pretty incredible. And then what he does is he lines it out to like where they were written over here, and it charts it on the path with where the price is currently. So it's pretty cool. You guys should check it out. I've had a lot of fun going through this, but this is going back to what I was just talking about, where like we start seeing all these negative articles, and that changes our sentiment, right? That creates a lot of fear for us, and that can persuade how we invest, and that's really scary. So be mindful on the types of influencers that you listen to or surround yourself with, and make sure they're in line with how you want to trade and what you believe how the market's going. So I'm gonna go off this real quick, but that was a lot of fun for me. Going into we have been seeing that the stock market and the general financial global markets do follow pretty closely with cryptocurrency. And we have been seeing a drop across the board, from the global financial markets and inflation, and then you're also seeing this with cryptocurrency. I am confident that we are going to start seeing divergence a little bit. Right now, cryptocurrencies follow tech stocks pretty closely. I do think that we will start seeing a divergence there, but when looking at the health of the market and where the market's going, one of the key indicators that we want to look at is the global financial marketplace. So with all the losses that we've seen, all the small cap stocks, I really feel they've already bottomed out, right? And then now we're starting to see that the large cap stocks, or the big corporations of the world, are really just starting to get to their bottom too. And I think that they probably have another 10 or 15% to go. We don't know where the bottom's going to be, but I know that I've recently reallocated my entire stock portfolio back to a moderate aggressive trading style, because I think that we're already near the bottom. So if we're already near the bottom, we don't know this to be true, and this isn't financial advice, but if we are close to the bottom with the financial marketplace, and now it's going to be probably like several months of sideways trading, and then we're gonna start building. Right, we're in this accumulation phase, and we're gonna start building on top of that now. So going into crypto, so if you look at all the financial marketplaces here today, they're all like they're all up, pretty good, like decent, 0.5% here and there. Tesla's up almost 5%. Netflix is up another 4%. Nasdaq is up 1.1.5. The Dow is up 0.6, so it's up 191 points. But we really saw, like with the Dow, we saw that it kind of hit its around 32, kind of hit its support line, and that's a lot of what we're looking for right now. So going into crypto is actually the worst of all the major markets right now. The total market cap has dropped just below 1.25. This has sort of been where it's kind of been hanging out here. I think the one that's been impressing me the most, which is good. Look, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that we've sort of bottomed out at this place, because had this happened with everything that happened with Terra, it was sort of was the catalyst into this last big drop in the cryptocurrency marketplace. I'm not saying that the whole drop was towards that, but that was sort of just a catalyst. Had that happened like 3 years ago, 4 years, it would have brought the entire cryptocurrency marketplace to its knees. And so I am confident that we did land at this, that we're still above $1 trillion, and that we did find resistance around 28,000, and that's what we've been seeing, or support rather, around 28,000. That's what we've been seeing. So right now, like I said, we're just about 1.25 ish trillion with the total market cap. We're staying pretty stable between 28. It's been bouncing around between 28 and 31. Let's click into it. 28 and 31 or so. What is kind of crazy about when talking about Bitcoin is the long position. Look at this. 85. The long positions have, since Terra, have just absolutely exploded. And historically, when we see that the long positions go like this, that's a strong signal that we're going to go into a bull rally. I'm not telling people to go and invest a bunch right now, but what this is kind of showing us is that there is a lot of confidence in Bitcoin right now. Because I don't know about you guys, but most articles I'm reading or that I see kind of populating is that Bitcoin is going down to 8,000 or 10,000 or 13,000 for this 4-year correction. But a lot of the data that we're seeing isn't really supporting that, from the long positions being placed to, let's go into some of the data that we're getting on Glassnode, where we are seeing, we're going to get into this. This is DeFi. That's what's really been taking a hit. The balance on exchanges is still going down, so we peaked right here around the beginning of fourth quarter last year, and it's the balance on exchanges has been steadily going down. So what this is telling us is that either the exchanges themselves or people are moving their Bitcoin off exchange and into cold storage. Yes, every time I say that, I always get a comment. Someone will say, well, exchanges do that all the time. Like, they move it into cold storage for security reasons, of course. But if the exchange is moving it off into cold storage, their Bitcoin, that is a very strong indication that they're not feeling the pressure on the exchange to provide that liquidity so people can sell. And obviously, every time someone sells, there's a buyer there too. But I was reading the balances on exchanges, and this was super interesting to me. I never really noticed this. I don't know, but that KuCoin only carries like 300. I think it's a little less now, but 331 Bitcoin on their exchange. I don't know why I thought Bitcoin would carry significantly more than that, and maybe it's all in cold storage. I don't know. But looking at this, we're, like I said, we're constantly seeing it go down. That's a very positive thing to look at. The other thing that I like to look at, the two factors I like to look at when seeing what is Bitcoin doing, is how much of it is moving on exchange, most likely to be sold, and the other is profit. Where are people in the profit range. So I don't think that's being represented here. So let's go and find it. So of the Bitcoin supply, what is in the profit? So if you guys have never been on Glassnode, I definitely recommend it. It can be very expensive. I think the one that I pay for is only like $40 a month. The one I really want is like $800 a month, but you have to do it annually, which is just a bit out of my range. So when you look at here, with the total supply and profit, over half, I think it's like 54%. So let's look at the percentage of supply and profit. I think it's like 54% right now. 57% of Bitcoin supply is in profit. So when they purchase to where it's valued now, it's in profit. That's an indication that's not going to be sold off right away. So when we look at the long positions dramatically increasing, we're looking at support at 28, and we're looking at Bitcoin still flowing off exchange into cold storage. These are all positive indicators that. And another big one is, I think we have an article on it, is that that volume for Bitcoin has dramatically decreased. So, which isn't always a good signal, right? Like we want to see a lot of volume, but what it tells us is if we're seeing that Bitcoin isn't leaving exchanges, if we're seeing that the majority of people, albeit only 57%, are in profit, and we're seeing that the volume is low, it means that with volume being low, it means that there's no action being taken, right? So no one's doing anything. It's like we're all sort of sitting around and saying, hey, we're still a little bit in the profit. We believe it. We love it. We know it's the way of the future. We're not ready to sell it yet. And so let's keep it in our cold storage. We are on that line though, right? So as long as I see, and I do feel like we are going to see quite a bit of sideways trading here, as long as we're on that line and not going below 28.5, 28 or so, I think we're in a really good place. If we close below 28, I think, there's definitely a likelihood that we can go down into 22, 20. I don't know, and I don't think anyone else does either, because there's no historical reference there. So, all right, that's a little bit of the health in the market. I know it's not a crazy amount, and it's the same thing that we've basically been saying for the last 8 weeks, because I think it's like 8 or 9 weeks in a row now that that cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in general has had a red candle, right? So historically, that much time in red candle would say that we're absolutely in a bear season, which is where we're going to get a lot of these people coming out and saying, I told you so, the market's going to crash, all this kind of stuff. Just, educate yourself, be aware of, look at their history too, of their articles that they've put out, if they even have that history, and be aware of people kind of going out there and trying to manipulate the market. So the other thing about this time period, this is actually not to go too much on the bear season, but why I like bear seasons is that it really creates a difference. It kills off the bad projects or the scam artists. And that's, the term scam, I think, is overused quite a bit. Just because a project fails doesn't mean it's a scam. And I really believe that they're too quick to call a project a scam. I'm not saying that it's not a scam, but it's just, again, everything comes back down to doing your own research. Like if the team is KYC'd, if the project was absolutely moving towards producing some sort of product or service to generate revenue, these are all startups, right? And I don't know what the exact metric is. I'd have to look it up, but I believe it's like 90 or 95% of startups fail within the first year or 2 years, and those are unfunded startups. Funded startups, like VC backed, venture capitalist backed startups, still like 75% of them fail, right? So these aren't scams, right? So if you're invested in a project and it does go under, unless you can verify that they were that they stole money or that there was a rug pull to some extent. Unless you can verify that information, don't be too quick to call them to call that project a scam. So be aware of that too. All right, let's go into some market news. This is where possibly it's going to get even more depressing, but yeah, not really. I mean, it's just again, it's the bear market, so it's exciting. This is the time to find those projects that are going to boom in the bull rally. So some of the positive things that let's go into. One of the more positive news articles that I came across was Fidelity Investments. We've been talking about this week after week, but they just recently filed their I don't know if it was their quarterlies. They did their latest filing with the SEC, and their Bitcoin index fund is up to $126.5 million. And they're just getting started, right? They literally just rolled this out, and they're going to all of their clients and their companies that offer 401ks to all of their employees, and they're giving them the option to invest in Bitcoin. So this is going to be a little bit of a slow roll here, because the first step is Fidelity offering it. Now all of these companies have to agree whether or not they want to support that or not. And then once those companies agree or not that they want to support it, then the employees have to be okay. Like they have to say, oh, I want a portion of my 401k going into Bitcoin. I think that within a year, they're going to be well into the billions of dollars in Bitcoin. And this right here is why I really, again, I'm not fully saying that Bitcoin's not going to go under 20. But I really just don't see it when we have major institutions that are just rolling out these programs, and they're the ones that are buying the dip like every 2 weeks. Every time a paycheck goes through and a portion of their paycheck goes into their 401k, anybody who says that they want Bitcoin, all of that money is going to start slowly rolling into to Bitcoin, and it's going to be a lot of volume, and it's going to be long-term storage. All of it. It's 401k. They're not going to be selling it off. So, that's super positive to look at. The other really positive news article that I came across was JP Morgan, another massive financial institution. Jamie Dimon, actually, I saw, was on one of those articles from Bitcoin is Dead. So JP Morgan maintains Bitcoin's fair value is at 38,000, predicts 28% upside. So banks, financial institutions, anybody who buys and trades securities, stocks, cryptocurrencies, when they usually are pegging where the fair value is, obviously when they want to like go into an investment, but they're constantly making predictions or like especially if they're looking at selling an asset, they have price targets of where they want to buy and where they want to sell. And having a major financial institution like this saying that the fair value of Bitcoin right now is at 38K, that's very significant from where we're at right now. But the 28% upside from 29, where were we, 29.5 to 38? That's
29 something. Yeah, I'll look right now.
That's more than 28%.
Yeah, 29.5.
So so that is a very positive outlook there as well. So let's go into a couple of other news articles. This is the crypto mom, the SEC's Hester. I don't think it's pronounced Peirce. It's Peirce, I think.
Huh.
I should look that up.
Peirce?
It looks like Peirce, but it would be IE.
I
think it's Peirce, Hester Peirce. She's known as, or dubbed as, the crypto mom. She's out there saying that the U.S. has dropped the ball on the crypto regulation. I was talking about this on one of our investor calls last night for our work, and we were talking about her. And so President Biden put out his executive order, and then that went to the SEC to sort of create this cryptocurrency dream team or whatever that's setting out all of the regulation. And oddly, the biggest proponent within the SEC on the commission is Hester Peirce, and she's not on the team. She's not on the the cryptocurrency regulation dream team. For whatever reason, I don't know. I think her voice would be pretty fantastic on that commission, but it's not there. So she's been out saying that they dropped the ball, according to on crypto regulation, in that right now is the time where we really need to be picking it up and leading that charge. So she goes on to say that there's been a lot of fraud in the space, and because it's a hot area of the moment, the other piece that concerns her is the way that they've dropped the regulatory ball. What she's getting at here, if you go through and read the article, is that they're stagnating innovation. So they're not allowing innovation to develop and experimentation to happen in a healthy way. And there are long-term consequences to that failure. So when you're not giving, so someone like myself who's a developer, when you're not giving clear guidelines on how I am able to operate, and for me, because they don't give me, for our company, because they don't give us clear guidelines, it requires us to spend tens of thousands of dollars on attorney fees to guess what they might come up with, right? So we go out there, we find attorneys that have worked for the SEC, that know how the SEC thinks, and can best guess what is the regulatory framework going to be. There are not a lot of people there are not a lot of developers in our position who have the money to pay for that. And so either they're now too scared, right? And they don't want to go to jail. They don't want the threat of that. And so they don't produce. And that's not good for the market. That's going to stagnate the development growth. Or they just kind of say, fuck it, and they go for it. And now they find themselves in jeopardy to some extent because they don't have the money to hire lawyers or to get good guidance. They're out there offering things that they probably shouldn't because they don't know, but they want to develop. And so getting some really clear guidelines on what we can do, how we can do it, what's our framework is gonna be super important. So I like following her. I get alerts when she comes out with different statements and stuff, which is funny because I still don't know how to pronounce her last name. But, that's that. So this is a good article. You guys should definitely check this out. Going into a bit more, Terra is launching their V2 to much criticism. I think the person that's criticized this the most that I follow would be CZ, the CEO of Binance, and he's pretty dead on with this. So basically, what Terra is going to be doing is taking a snapshot of where the blockchain was before the crash, and they're gonna do a hard fork, which is basically just duplicating that version of it with the snapshot, and they're gonna be reallocating token back to the old supply. For all the people who had been trading after that point, they're going to reallocate certain amounts of token because they help save or try to mitigate by like adding capital. They tried to mitigate the losses that Terra went through after the crash. Here's the problem, and CZ's definitely right on with this. Just because you take a snapshot from before doesn't mean that it holds all that value. Then we still lost billions and billions and billions of dollars. So unless, because with every buyer there's a seller, with every seller there's a buyer, except for decentralized exchanges, but we won't go there. Unless the market is there, unless everybody that watched this top 10 project completely fail in almost obliterate the marketplace. I mean, we were pretty close to. This could have easily been way worse, and I'm very surprised on how strong the market really was with this collapse. Unless the market says, "Oh, that was cool. It was just growing pains. That's fine. We're going to come back and support it," and the volume is there with the amount of buyers and sellers. Because let's be honest, like anybody who gets Luna right now, I'm making this up, but I would say over 75% of people who are going to get airdropped this new Luna are over it, right? They've lost confidence. They've lost confidence in the project. Do Kwon, it's been coming out, like, the stuff I've been reading about what this guy has said in the past is, like, it's appalling. He literally is just not a good human being. And I don't think when I invested in Terra, I don't think that I did enough due diligence in leadership. Like, I didn't know what type of person that he was, and he is really kind of a shitty person if you look at, like, all the public comments that he makes and how he treats people. It's just I don't know. I'm not a supporter of Terra. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, with a 100-foot pole. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I would be very skeptical of this, and because of that, you're going to see the value significantly drop from where it launches at. Unless the market is there, unless you got all those buyers that are going to pick up where everyone is selling, this is a last ditch effort for him personally, and I'm more interested in watching the enforcement side of this and how they're going to handle Terra and do their investigation on if there was any wrongdoing. I'm not saying that there was, but this not only caused a huge crash on UST, but we've seen over $10 billion in USTD, so UST, right? And then we've seen over $10 billion in USTD leave. I think that's another article. We went over that a bit, but right here, crypto whales ditch Tether for USTD after stablecoin panic. So I believe it's 10 billion. That's what it's going to say here. Look, you can see this. And what's funny about this, okay, so USDT has been pretty notorious for not being transparent about how much is backing USDT. And they've gotten fined tens of millions of dollars for outright lying about how much is backing it. And they just recently last year were fined like 40 something million, I think. So people started moving money from USDT to USDC, which also is not pegged or backed 1-to-1. So USDC is one of the top ones, I think, personally, and BUSD. BUSD is run by Binance. USDC is run by, I believe it's Bolt. I don't know if it's Circle and Coinbase. It's Coinbase and someone else. It's like this consortium. Anyhow, they came out at the end of third quarter, I think, last year, and they said that USDC is not backed 1-to-1, but it is stable enough, whatever metric they run on. It's sort of like how banks operate. But UST caused a lot of this. It created this huge panic where people were moving their money from in this case, USDT to USDC.
It was Circle, by the way.
Yeah, Circle. Oh, cool. Yeah. So this creates more uncertainty that didn't really need to be there. I'm not a fan of Terra anymore, and then this other I think it's was it Deuce Finance's stablecoin? That thing collapsed. It went down to, and that was another algorithmic stablecoin. That thing went down to like 52 cents or 53 cents. So, let's not get fancy with it. Let's try to provide a stable atmosphere. Let's not back a crypto stablecoin with volatile crypto assets, right? Let's back it with something more sustainable, something that has longevity and is not going to, or just 1-to-1 to the dollar. But then there's other issues there, like with inflation. So let's be mindful with what types of stablecoins we use, and just kind of dialing this up here. I think that's kind of closing it in. I feel like a lot of this was negative. I feel like we're going to hear it. But here's my thing. So a lot of the news out there, a lot of the charts and stuff, it does seem negative. Right now is the time, not to sound too corny, but right now with all the negativity that's out there, really is the time to find the positivity in all of this, which is finding those projects and those investments that can survive this bear cycle, right? Because we could be looking at 2 months of sideways trading. We don't know. It could go lower than this. We could just pop right off if we're following the BTC longs on Bitfinex. But the point here is that right now, in my opinion, not financial advice, is a really good time to invest in being, having a lot of due diligence in what you're investing in. For me, I like looking at the team. I know I just said that I didn't do that with Terra, but looking at the team, knowing that the team has the skill sets and their resources to sustain a bear market. Also looking at who else is invested in the token and are they going to stay, right? So right now is a massive opportunity for a lot of people, especially from a lot of stuff that I went over on the data side today. There are a lot of data points that are suggesting that we are finding stability right now, right? So don't be too quick to make your decisions. Take your time. If you're investing, you're likely not investing for money for you to spend next week, right? You're investing for your future, and so let's take our time and make sure we make the best decisions as possible. For now, let's say goodbye, and we'll see you guys next week. I think Pat will be with us next week, and we'll continue to report on the current status of is it status or status?
Status, I guess.
Depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Of the global marketplace, and just giving you my opinion on how I see it at any given time. Awesome. All right.